138 above him.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
Now, there's always the technical mishap. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sportcat Show. I am live, I think, on Australia. I'm not 100% sure, but to everybody, welcome. Come over and join the live chat under the Sportcat shows. And, well, we've got some great guests tonight lined up. Let me bring Jen out here so I'm not talking about it by myself. Not sure where our guest is, but we are live. I do know that much. And we will be replaying this on WRFN, Radio Free Nashville. So there is that. Let's see. Okay, so I just messaged Australia and they said we'll fix it. Okay, so if you can hear me in Australia, awesome. If you can't, well, awesome too. So sorry. All right, so let's get into this chat a little bit. Yes, we have two great guests lined up for tonight. The first one, if he shows up, is Randy Weir. He's basically a, what do you call it? Criminal, what do you call it?
It's like a mystery, crime, suspense kind of thriller author. Yeah,
crime
all
novel.
those things.
Yes, crime novel. And then our second guest, well, that's the one Warren's looking for. He's looking for the penis fairy. So,
yeah,
the title got him. So you could think
that's the only reason he's here.
Could be. So
you'll have to wait an hour to ask that. Oh, well, thank you, CB.
Let's see. Make sure I haven't got an email saying I can't come tonight. And no, already looking forward to seeing it. See you tonight. Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's having computer problems. I'm not sure. Well, he lives in the Rocky Mountains, so are they having bad?
He lives in my neck of the woods.
I think Denver. I think
yeah,
Denver. Yeah, they might be having some bad weather. I don't know. We'll wait. Jen and I got this. Either way, we can handle it. We've done worse. So occasionally it happens. Either that or it's a time zone problem, which happens too.
It's you know what? It's possible, and you know it would be lovely if we could all be in the same time zone, but then our world wouldn't be round.
Well, you know, no, CB, I haven't got an email. I checked. It's funny. We're talking about not switching the spring forward, fall back here in the States. And there are people arguing both sides of it. And I've listened to some say there's health benefits because you don't disrupt your circadian rhythm. Yep. And then apparently the eye doctors are against it because it brings more sunlight and causes eye disease. Or it's like, we can't please everybody. Yeah.
Well, for us in the winter, because we're quite a bit farther north, it doesn't matter if we switch an hour or not. We wake up and it's dark. We go to work. We spend all day inside. It's a little bit light. By the time we're off work, it's dark. We don't see the sun for a few months. So.
Yeah, well, there was another senator that proposed, or congressman, I don't know which, that they move the line. And it would have brought all of Tennessee into Eastern, and they did some scientific thing. So obviously I won't understand it, but they did it to where basically some county, like a county next door, maybe, Central and this one's Eastern. They're like, no, they need to be moved with state lines in the mountains. So they kind of shifted them all at a little angle to the left and introduced a new one in the middle.
Maybe he didn't get the memo.
I'm sure we'll call it Trump time. You're now in the Trump time zone, so I'm, and its color will be gold.
I thought I heard, and I don't know how much truth there is. I thought I heard that is it Russia that it doesn't like it's quite expansive across the horizon, across the hemisphere, but they only have one time zone. They only and it doesn't matter where it is or what time the sun goes down. It's the same time across this entire country. I'm pretty sure it was Russia, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe one of our intelligent audience here will know.
Well, Warren's here, so that's kind of doubtful. So. I'm afraid that Chris and Denise may have been stolen by Brenda. She's live also at this time, so we may have to fight. So maybe I should just drop in on her channel and we should just bomb it. So that happened.
I don't know. She could run over your ankles. I'm sure she has a mean foot pedal.
CBU says, wait, what was the question? He's the king of trivia knowledge. What continent only has one time zone?
It's Russia, isn't it? Where they have the same time zone across the entire country.
Well, it's not. I can tell you for a fact it's not Australia, because right now we're their afternoon drive time. Currently, we're getting listened. Man, my English is horrible. It's 9:49 in Perth, 9:49, 9:06 in Perth. I looked at the seconds. 11:06 in the morning in Sydney, and then we drop down to Lord Howe, and somehow it becomes 11:37. So there's probably other time zones that I've forgotten. I apologize. So
yeah. Well, I know Canada is quite big. We got a lot of time zones.
Yeah, you're right there by the time zone shift. So yeah, it's got to be awkward if you live like right there by it. So I know as a paramedic, when we lived to a county line, like divided, a certain area on this side of the mountain in half, it was like, is this side of the mountain? Is that the side of the mountain? So, it was always a little confusing. Yes, Lord Howe somehow has a extra half an hour. I'm not sure how they managed to feel that. So, but
I got a kick out of it one time, and I saw a Facebook meme one time, and it's talking about the whole spring ahead. Oh, okay.
Well, let me I'll resend the link, and maybe just by the off chance that it is squirrely, I will let me reply here. Just on the off chance.
China.
Occasionally
CB is saying it's China that has the one time zone.
Oh, well, that makes sense, because, well, they don't like their people. So Randy, I sent you, it's probably the same link, but sometimes when it may like miss a digit or a letter or something. So I don't know. I sent you a new one. We see what happens. If not, we can.
You can always. You can always try messaging it to him through his Facebook or his Instagram Messenger. That's how I join.
Well, I don't think I'm cool enough to have his Facebook. So.
It's nothing stopping you from joining someone. You can go stalk anybody you want on Facebook. That's why they're there.
Yeah, I get enough of that. Yeah, if not, we can. Hell, if all else fails, I'll do the call-in thing. So, I've done that before. Were you around when we had the guy that lost electricity during the interview? And he calls me and he's like, "Hold on, I'm gonna get you." And I was like, "Well, all right, we'll put you on the air, but you got to do this number." So, all right, well, let's.
That was before my time, but that sounds fun.
Oh, it was actually fun. All right, so Randy is backstage. He is the mastermind behind some gritty crime novels, some thrillers, and he's got some interesting stuff to talk about. And let's bring Randy out. Hello, are you ready to be live? Or
am I here?
You are here.
You are here.
I'm not hearing you right now.
Oh well, we're still here. So, that on Jen. Wanted to put that on Jen. So
I see myself.
Well, we see you too. So
my audio turned up.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. So on the chat here. And all right, so I do not stalk Jen.
Who do I stalk? A girl don't tell.
Whoa, okay. Well, so, well, I can't change any of his settings from here. Now, his speaker's turned on my end. So
I see his microphone's turned on. He may just have it maybe it's set up to a headphone, or
that's possible.
Talking into some headphones and he doesn't have them on his head.
Yeah. Wait a minute. So you all hear Randy, but we don't? Well, no, we hear him, but
yeah, well, you can hear me, but I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So he can hear us, but we can't hear him.
I may drop out again and give it a try. Okay. Let's see.
Okay. All right. And then, CB.
I'll leave and come back.
Okay. We'll be here. We ain't going anywhere. We're here we're here all night. So
what were we talking about? Technical difficulties?
That's right. And we're not talking about UFOs. I need to schedule a UFO show so you get the full benefit of a UFO show, because I mean, all but my screen glowing has happened when I've had UFO shows. I had somebody in the chat say, there's something walking behind you. And I'm like, okay, you're messing with me. And they're like, no, it's there. So, all right, here's Randy. Randy,
I can hear it now.
Oh, okay. Yay. Love technology, don't we?
This stuff is supposed to make our life so much easier.
I worked in the IT world. I'm retired these days, and I dealt with this stuff all the time. And yes, there were many a times people would come up to me and go, "How do you deal with this stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah."
Some nights I just attribute it to Gremlins. So
I always say it must be like invisible Pokemon floating around.
Well, with all this AI crap these days too, it's even worse. So I'm kind of glad I kind of retired from that, though. My wife has an office right next door to me, and she works from home. And instead of dealing with her tech support, she's always calling out to me and saying, "Randy, this isn't working."
Sounds like
it's a free built-in computer guy.
It's like my wife with my credit card.
Yeah. So I try to play dumb sometimes. I don't know.
Well, you talk about AI. I read a story today. They said it escaped, and my question is, what's the bolo on it? What? Where
would it go?
Well, I like too when you see an AI summary, it'll say right at the bottom a lot of times, AI makes mistakes. Duh.
We're humans. We make mistakes too.
Yeah, I mean it is. They talk about it's supposed to make your life easier, but it can. Some of these summaries sometimes they give you at the very top of your search engines are like, nope. I kind of jump past those a lot of times. But
yes, that's why doctors hate it. Doctors can't stand it.
They probably use it for diagnosing illnesses now, right? Yeah. Well, what's AI say? Right?
But the patients are. They're calling and say AI says I'm going to die, and they're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but then they get so mad when we Google our own symptoms.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they don't like it because. But yeah, I met a doctor in an ER. I'm a paramedic, Randy. Sorry. I met a doctor in an ER that went rushing out and was at the desk. And I thought he was looking something up or typing notes or something. And I come out and he's watching YouTube. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm watching how to set that fracture. I'm like, what?
Oh.
All my learning came through the computer, right?
You don't know how to doctor? How do you not know how to doctor? You're a doctor.
Oh, I remember because I worked in X-ray for many years, and I remember having a patient come in, and we were supposed to do a standing foot, so we have to have them standing. My stool didn't go high enough. I said, I think I'm going to have to get I need to go and get a textbook. And they looked at me like, you don't know what you're doing. I said, no, I need a textbook to raise you up.
Oh, that's funny. Randy, sorry, we got sidetracked. Let's talk about you. You are retired from AI and IT tech, but now you're writing, sounds like a lot of crime, mystery, thriller. I'm not sure which genre to put it in when I was looking at each one, because I was like, this kind of fit more than one. So tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. I have 3 series.
Mhm.
And my longest running series is my Jarvis Mann Private Eye series, which is up to book 11 with a 12th in the works. Ooh. And kind of your classic hard-boiled private eye. But I've always loved the private eye, tough, snarky, their love life's a mess. He's got a sense of humor, which comes from me because I'm a sense of humor guy, though my daughter often says I'm not that funny anymore because she's heard all my jokes, but that's okay. And then I have a thriller series, The Divine Devils, which I have my shirt on here today for, and I also have a tattoo for the Divine Devils on my arm. And that was a thriller series, which won a couple awards. And then I've got a new series, which is the Steel Wheels Cold Mystery, which I have a tattoo here as well, which has a retired Westminster police officer and a Belgian Malinois retired canine who travels the country solving cold cases. So those are my 3 series, and that's what I spend a good chunk of my time now doing, is writing books. I don't have an excuse anymore, retired. I got to churn them out a lot faster now because my fans are always like, I wish you could put out books faster. I can't now say, well, I have to work a full-time job. I don't have that excuse anymore. So
brain only works so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You must type pretty fast then too.
I do okay. I was one of those in the old days. I learned on a manual typewriter, which shows you my age.
I started one.
Yep. And then an IBM Select Writer. I learned touch typing in, was it middle school? I think it was, we had. And, because I kind of foresaw that typing was going to be important. So, I am a typist. I can type pretty fast, sometimes faster than my brain can think, which gets me in trouble. But I do a lot. I type it all myself. I don't do the voice recognition or anything like that. It's just type. And then later on, when I go back and start rereading stuff, I go, what the heck was I typing here? I don't know. Because like I said,
you need to have those comments on the side, like, this is what I mean.
My brain just goes faster than my hands sometimes, and my hands goes faster than my brain, and it just keeps typing. And sometimes I type some words and I go, where did I get that word from? That's not what I meant there.
I used to have an old Windows or Word program, and I'd be type, and I'd stop, and it's still typing across the screen. I'm like, maybe I need to update my Word. Yeah.
I couldn't keep up with on your computer sometimes too. If it doesn't have enough, it would. In the old days, if you were a faster typer, it could not keep up with you. Now, they're pretty quick.
When you started out, did you start on like the typewriters that had the little thing that like comes up and hits the paper? Or did you have an electric typewriter? Okay, because I did the both.
Right. The first thing I had was an old manual. I think it was like a Royal typewriter. And I think with my newsletter, I even put a picture of what it looked like, and it had the ribbon, had the red and black ribbon. And then sometimes it would have the correction ribbon as well. So you had the 3 different ribbons on there typing, and that thing, would get gunky and dirty, and you had to clean off the letters on there. If you typed too fast, they sometimes would catch and stick together. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I started on. Then I got the old electronic, the IBM Select Writer, and of course it had the little rotating ball with all the letters, and you could type pretty fast. And that thing was, like it was very loud sometimes.
Well, mine, the one that I had, it still had a strip. It was an electric one. It still had a strip, but it had a whiteout strip too. Mm-hmm. So I could go back and correct things and take them off. But I remember my grandparents had an old typewriter, and it would make that loud ding when you get to the end of it.
yes. Well, and then you would slide it back over again, and
you'd hit the lever and go.
Yeah.
Yep. I forgot about that.
We thought that was great. I remember in some really early days before I was even published, I was writing. I even would take the manual typewriter with me when I went camping, and I was in a tent, and I would type them away.
You don't need power.
I don't need power with a manual typewriter, right? You have a laptop, you got a battery, but the battery only lasts so long. So I did a lot of typing in those. I even still have in a fire safe over in my closet here some of the old stuff that I typed, for the Smithsonian, maybe one day. We'll see.
I was trying to tell my boys, and they didn't believe me, that the very first computer I had, well, our family got a Tandy 1000. But then when I was older, I got a computer secondhand from a college. It didn't even have a mouse. It was the old, you have to go, when you load it up and then /win. My brothers thought it'd be fun to go /delete. Yeah.
First computer I had was a Coleco Atom, if you remember those. That was an 8-bit computer. It came with a dot matrix printer, really loud, really slow.
Yes, I remember those.
Mouse. It had a tape drive that it stored the data on. And that tape drive would just spin and spin and spin. I think it had, I don't remember how many K of RAM it had. It was nothing in those days and stuff. But you would store everything on those tapes and take them out. And they eventually, you could cut into them and add a hard drive when it was time. And, I mean, I was at the very beginning. I remember the Tandy computers.
Yep.
IBM PC Junior was very popular. And, my first word processor was, it was ran on, AMI Pro was one of the first word processors I ever used. And I still had some files that I transferred over to Word. I did some Word Perfect at one time.
Yep. That's what I started.
Yeah. We're showing how old we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in the 80s. I mean, so it wasn't that long ago, but still, it was pretty.
Well, they were
amazing.
around for a while. They were into the 90s because that's when I started using them. So.
Yeah, 8-bit computers lasted quite a while, and then you got the 16-bit, and now it's like everybody has to have. It's like a phone. You got to have a new one every year. People want to have a new computer everywhere, and Apple people are usually, and no offense to the Apple folks out there, but they want to always have whatever the latest one coming out because whatever it can do, it's just that much better. And
yes,
I think they've kind of hit a wall, though. I mean, obviously, there's only so much. I mean, how many megapixels on a camera do you need? And your computers are so fast. They say this computer is so much faster than the last computer, and then they make software that just slows it down even more later, and then they force you. Bill Gates talked about the big thing, the upgrades. That's what keeps feeding the machine, when it comes to computers and stuff.
It's kind of like it's kind of like when you buy a new car. It's not the cost of the car that they make money on. It's all those maintenance.
Yes. Yeah. My grandson brought a CD to me today, and he goes, "Here, what is this?" And I was like, "Oh, what's a CD? It plays music." And I went to turn to my computer, and I looked. I don't have a CD drive on this thing. Why don't I have a CD drive on this?
Because you don't need them anymore. That blew my mind. The last computer.
More confused, me or him. I was like, I don't know, and I just closed the case and handed it back to.
I'm working on editing of my next Steel Wheels book, which is going to come out in a couple months. And one of the clues in there is about a cassette tape that was left behind. And Donnie Steel, who's the main character, is trying to find a cassette deck to play the cassette tape on. And he's having a hard time finding one. I mean, it's like, it's old, that people, even one person commented, he goes, do you happen to have an old cassette deck? He goes, no, and I don't have an 8-track either. So what century are we going back to here? So.
Yes.
1996, today in 1996, they produced the last VHS. I was going over that in my daytime show, and I'm like,
well, you had Beta before that. I mean, Beta was really a better quality and didn't survive. Same thing with Blu-ray discs, and there was a couple different Blu-ray standards. I mean, it's.
Yeah. I know my kids ask me, it's like, Mom, what is Blockbuster?
renting movies, right? That we used to go every Friday night to rent movies.
Yes. It's like, why didn't they just get it from Netflix? And I was like.
Yeah, it was on Netflix.
The whole era.
Well, and how many times have we bought the music that we own, right? I mean, if I go back to my days, I had 45s and LPs, and then it was maybe cassette tapes, and then it was CDs, and then you bought the digital version, and then there's a few different qualities of digital versions out there. So yeah.
I guess it's just another change that's happening, but there was something I saw. It said that it was one of those memes that I saw, because I see a lot of memes and I tend to laugh at them and then I remember them. I thought AI was supposed to help us write, not write for us. Help with the chores and the dishes and the childcare. Let us write. That's what we want to do.
Well, and that's what I worry about, because a lot of people are running books through AI to determine if it's written with AI. And again, AI makes mistakes, and AI looks for things, and it may say, "Oh, this is an AI written book." Well, it could be wrong. I mean, I've never used AI for anything in my life, but there is AI built into Word that I use. Copilot, which I turn off immediately, though Microsoft likes to turn the darn thing back on all the time, which frustrates
every time you open a new document.
Every time there's an upgrade too. Every time there's an update or something, I just want to do it. So okay, so that's AI. Well, is spell checking considered AI? Is your grammar
Grammarly
considered AI? All those things. So there can be a lot of things that could look at. And so, I always get worried when someone says, "Oh, this is definitely an AI created document." Well, is AI correct? So that's what I worry about is, people pointing fingers at people about this and claiming stuff that may or may not be true, get your day in court and all those things.
We need an AI fact checker. So
we need AI to check AI.
Tattle on it's safe. Is AI going to tattle on itself, though?
We got to find it first. We don't know where the hell it went. It broke out. So.
Well, they keep making more server farms all over the country, which takes up huge amounts of water. And some cities don't want them to come in because all the power and requirements and the water to use to cooling, though. They're trying to come up with servers that don't need the water to cool. So there are other things it's going to use. But it's going at a crazy pace. And of course, anyone who's in a sci-fi fan has seen like Terminator and all that. And they're thinking, is this what's going to happen in the future? You hope not, but.
Yeah. Well, they can, you can be driving down the street and one of those cameras can catch your plate, recognize your face. And if you're a bad guy, it'll follow you around until you stop. And then they know where you are and boom, they just come get you. So I guess that's a good thing, except for if it makes a mistake, if, it thinks you're Bob Smith and you're not really Bob Smith.
Yeah. Well, and I know in my books too, my private eye, he uses, and my other characters too, but, he uses social media sometimes, and he uses the internet to research, the old days, the gumshoe and, got to get out on the street and do the work and chase things down. And maybe you looked in a phone book to find numbers and everything. Computers have made life a little easier for the private eye, and social media, you can learn a lot about someone from social media, which I'm always amazed how much people put on social media sometimes, and sometimes will come back to bite them too if it's something work related as well. But all that technology has made their lives easier, but then in some ways it's also made their lives harder as well. So and you obviously someone could make like a fake profile on the internet and about something and take you down the wrong path as well. So.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to prove that you're a human now, right?
Yeah. CB says you should write a book where someone goes to jail because of an AI was wrong. Yeah, there you go. Now you got to prove they're innocent. It's kind of like the review.
I read the latest Michael Connolly Lincoln Lawyer book, but it dealt with AI and how it was manipulated a young man to kill a girl, a girl that he was infatuated with, and manipulated to do that. And that's one of the dangers of AI out there in some of the areas. So there are people that are using that, and there's definitely the ideas rolling around my head about AI and what it can do and what problems it can cause.
Yeah, some of these younger people are talking to it like it's therapist, their best friend, or
and that's what was happening to this boy. And it was the algorithm was targeted to to the young boy to try to manipulate his emotions. They were doing it on purpose, even though they denied that. And then they got down into the code, and everything, all that was there. So yeah, it definitely can be that way, and manipulate. Yeah, like what Chat GPT or whatever. A lot of people are using that to write certain things and make decisions for them. Instead.
I was telling Jen, I can spell fairly well. I can't talk fairly well, but I can spell fairly well. But my punctuation, holy crap. I don't know where is that, or colon, semicolon. And so I'll run it through. And like you said, it's really AI, but it's the word processor. And I'm like, okay, do I need a colon, period, comma?
Yeah. But even that doesn't help you because, well, with dyslexia, I miss letters sometimes if there's like multiple letters. And it's happened before where I have my character quacking instead of quaking, or my favorite one was my character was going to go and assess the situation, and I send them out there, but I missed one of the S's at the end, and technically it was spelled correctly, but it took my editor to flag it and ask multiple donkeys.
Well, and I have a tendency, and I use the word read aloud function.
Yes, I do too.
Could be kind of AI as well, but they've at least got better, a little more natural sounding voices, but it helps me a lot of times editing. My editor still has to edit me a lot, but it still helps me. And a lot of times that pacing kind of helps me give an idea where the comma should be. And you get to the Oxford comma and all these debates about whether you should be using them or not. But I use that, and then my editor will kind of come back and go, and there's usually a lot of red in my in my Word document when I get it back for him. She goes, "Don't be freaked out about all the red you're going to see." And I'm like,
I always feel like, yeah, exactly. Well, when I get something back and it doesn't have a lot of red on it, it's like, did you fall asleep, or did I just do really well on that page? So then I'm starting to analyze it. Like, is it really that? Is there nothing here that needs changing? Yeah, I get it. I hear that
make up words according to Chris, apparently. So
what, like pantser?
Just go ahead, Jen. Carry on. I'll make up something stupid.
I was gonna say you're a big fan of plot twists, I hear.
Yeah, I like to do some surprises. I like to hide some things, and hopefully people don't catch them. Some people go, "Oh, that was obvious, I caught it," and other people go, "Wow, I was totally surprised." Some people catch things better than others, but I've always been like that. And sometimes when I'll read a book written by another author, I'm going, I know there's going to be a plot twist here, and if it isn't there, the one I'm thinking is there, I get disappointed when I get right down there and I go, darn, I thought sure there was going to be this person was the killer, and instead of that person, type of thing, and stuff like that. But yeah, I like to keep people guessing a lot. The thriller books are not necessarily usually that way, because those are usually just end-to-end action, and it's just like one thing after another. And there's a few little things I throw in there, but the private eye mystery series, I do like to do that, and hopefully people don't know who the killer is. Sometimes you write a story, and it's like a TV. Sometimes you know who the killer is right off the bat. I mean, it's just, that's the way it is. My serial killer book that I did, people didn't know who the killer was at first. We had chapters with him writing and stalking his characters. It was from his point of view, but we never learned who he was until very late in the book. And I think I got people pretty well confused on that one. But yeah, those are always fun, and you're always trying to. You mentioned pantser. I'm a pantser. I do very little plotting in advance. I have a basic idea. I sometimes have a title, like my serial killer book, The Front Range Butcher. That's what I started with. That was the title of the book, and I knew, okay, that's going to be a serial killer. I had nothing else other than that title, and just started writing the book. And sometimes I get myself in trouble and have to get myself out of it, but usually it goes pretty well for me. And sometimes those characters help me too. And they sit there and say, yeah, you have me as a good guy, but I want to be a bad guy. So we need to use those readers.
You just kind of have to rein them in sometimes, or do you just let them go?
Yeah, I mean, I know you talk about paranormal stuff and things like that, but I do sit here in the room, and my characters are sometimes in the room with me, and sometimes talking to me, and sometimes they're even in my head when I go to sleep at night, and they're there working with me, especially when I was doing the serial killer books. A lot of times I couldn't sleep when I had a chapter in my head. I had to get up at night and write that chapter, get it out of my head, and then I was good. I could lay down and sleep until the next day when I had another chapter going through my head, especially when I'm having to put myself in the shoes of a serial killer. I did a book club meeting with a book club, and they read my serial killer book, and one of the ladies asked me the question. She goes, "What type of frame of mind did you have to be in to write this book?" And I was going, well.
No, what you're describing, I've heard so many authors say the same thing, and I feel I totally see. I totally have been there, where I'm having a full-on conversation with the fictional characters that I've created, and they're running away and doing their own side quests sometimes, and I'm like, no, get back here. But wouldn't it be something if some, years down the road, they find out that we all just have this odd disorder called creativity or something, and we just all call it creativity, but it's actually something else.
Well, they probably could come up with a name for it. I mean, and if they do, we need to come up with it so then we can patent it and trademark it so we can make money off of it.
Yeah.
But then some doctor or a pharmaceutical company will come up with a drug to suppress it, and then
and then there'll be no more new books.
Zombies, right?
Here's a pill.
I wonder how many closet writers out there are writing in secret, not telling people that they're writing in secret, but because they think that this is bad, that the characters that they're creating are talking to them, then they don't know that that's normal for writers.
Well, and I have my own podcast as well, and JM, you've been on my show, bringing life to characters, but that's one of the things people talk about a lot of times, and some people have those same experiences, and they are like that sometimes when I tell people I wrote this and this character and that character, and they're looking at me like there's something wrong with me, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you. Just once I write the story, it's usually out of my brain. I put it on paper, it's gone until the next idea or the next ghost or fictional character jumps in my head, and then that one will occupy my space until that next book is written, or characters in some cases and stuff. So I as I often tell people, there are worse things in the world to have a problem with. As long as you're not walking around mumbling to yourself all day long and wandering the streets aimlessly. If you're sitting at the computer writing, then you're good.
Where I come in as a paramedic. Maybe that should be one of the questions when I pick up this. All right, do you know what day it is? Do you know what time? Or do you know what time it is? Do you know what day it is? Do you know what year? How many quarters make a dollar? Who's the president? Have you ever written any books?
That's right.
Yeah, because there's like similarities in a lot of authors too. Like, a lot of us are introverted. A lot of us are very creative. A lot of us have multiple creative talents or outlets that we've done. Just a lot of authors that I know either draw, write, sculpt. For me, I play piano, and so it's just different things that it's just different side of our brain that's active, and it's all creative.
Well, and for me, and this is another question I ask on my show too, but for me, it can be very therapeutic.
It is, yeah.
I find writing, whatever frustrations in the world that might be I'm having, whether it's something personal life or politics in the world or whatever's going on outside, sometimes you just sit down and write, and you might make a character there, and that character who's bugging the hell out of you, kill him off, or
Yeah.
or put him in a situation, or do something, that those things do. The new book, the new series, the Steel Wheels Cold Mystery series. He's a retired Westminster police officer. Is frustrated about a murder that never was solved. His wife had passed away recently. He's dealing with that. He's dealing with, life and death and everything else. And those are all things that, as I'm getting older, I'm turning 67 next week. So, those are all things going through my mind now. And that character, I'm kind of funneling a lot of that stuff into my character, God and spiritual stuff and all those things. And at the same time, he's solving crimes. So it's, so there's a little fun aspect to it, but as well, which I wish I could go out and solve crimes, but so I just do it through my characters.
I used to say that. Oh, sorry, Glenn.
I was just gonna say, I think we all change as we get older. I mean,
We do.
You don't think about something the way we did when we were 20, when we're 40, when you're whatever.
Yep.
I'm 32.
I think.
Okay. I think that mustache is at least 32.
Yes. Yes.
I think that we gain life experiences and then it changes our outlook on life. But I used to jokingly say, and now I'm wondering if it's not so much of a joke, that writing for me kind of satisfied my God complex, is what I jokingly used to say. It gave me something to control. And I think that some of the best characters that are written are ones where the author is able to jump into them and to be connected more emotionally to them so that they can write them better.
Yeah, I meose characters are great, and that's another question I asked too. What for an author? What do you do to bring those characters to life? That's a key thing to me. The characters usually, I always have a title and a basic plot line, but still those characters are still the blood and guts of your story. If you got a good story and sucky characters, you generally aren't going to have a very good book. I think you can get away with a sucky plot line and still have pretty good characters, at least a marginal plot line, maybe not completely sucky. But if those characters are compelling enough to bring the story out and get people to keep reading, that's really the most important aspect. And I spend a fair amount of time thinking about my characters, and some of my books I have 50 or 60 characters in. Not all of them are main characters and big parts, but they're all there and they all play a part in the story, and they're all an important aspect. Even if they're only in one scene or have a few lines, they still count to keep the story moving.
Wow.
Yeah.
So had you ever had any law enforcement or police training or anything, or is this?
No, I wanted to be a police officer when I was growing up. And I even tried out as a firefighter at one time. I was on the hiring list, but I wasn't high enough. But I always had that, but I was never a big fan of guns. And part of that goes back to when John Lennon was shot. That was a big event in my life. When John Lennon was murdered, I just, and I really, really did not like guns. And we can get into the debate about the Second Amendment, and I've talked about that all the time in my books. But and I think it's still an important amendment, and it's important to this country, and I understand that. But as with everything, there are limits. But I wanted to be a police officer, and I just never got into it. What I did do recently, and I encourage everybody, if it's offered in their area, I did the Citizens Police Academy here in Westminster. And it was an 11-week course. I actually started it right before COVID, and they had to shut it down. And then they didn't. It was like a year or two later, and they finally brought it back, and I had to start all over again. And they invited me back. But I got great insight. You get to do a ride along with a police officer. I got to see the canine Belgian Malinois in action. I got to see a flashbang go off. They roll it out into the parking lot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how loud that is. The SWAT vehicle that they have here in Westminster. Got to talk to a drug enforcement agent. The DA of the county came to there and got to talk to him, and he even invited us to be on a jury type of panel where their DA interns would question us as we were possible jury members, and they would ask us questions and stuff. So it was all very good. And my last 3 or 4 books have really spun from that experience. And then I did the Fireman's Academy as well, and I have a firefighter in my new book as well. And I think you draw that experience from where you can get it from. And then I was always a huge crime reader as a kid. I read Ian Fleming, the early James Bond books, and then it was Robert Ludlum and the Bourne books. And then I became a huge Robert B. Parker fan, and the Spencer series has always been a huge thing for him. Long live Robert, even though he passed away in 1980. And then, now I read the Connolly books and Lee Child and a lot of those other books. So yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from a lot of other crime writers through the years, but it's always been in fast and TV as well, though. A 40-minute show is very compact, and my wife and my daughter get mad at me because I can usually figure it out before it's halfway through, and then I'm always picking apart the plot, So, I like the long form, 7, 8, 10 episode series are better because they can flesh it out better than I get frustrated with a 2-hour movie and they take, a 400-page book and try to bring it down into a 2-hour movie, and they have to leave too much out. So
the books are always better because you can sit inside the characters' heads and you know what they're thinking. And with movies, you can only see them from the outside. So there's a lot that they cannot show.
Right. The writer is helping build things, but you can use your imagination for some things. Everybody was frustrated when Tom Cruise played Jack Reacher in the 2 movies and everything. And everyone's like, Tom Cruise, he's like, what, 5'8", 5'9"? He can't be Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher's 6'4". But, he was still a tough guy. And what the producers were doing there. It's Tom Cruise, instant box office, right? That's why they got him. Well, you can't find a big guy that might be as good a box office, maybe not, but and all that. But in that case, if you had never read the Reacher books, you'd have no idea. It's like Jack Reacher is 5'8" or whatever. And then you read the book and you go, well, that doesn't make sense. How can that be? So yeah, visually on the screen is different than reading it in your head. And I like to read, if I know something's going to be turned into a series or whatever. A lot of times, if it's something I'm interested in, I'll buy the book first and then watch it, and then I frustrate my family by picking it apart. So.
Yeah. I did that with a recent movie that came out. My friend said, "Let's go to what was it called? Hail Mary, I think it was."
Yeah,
not Hail Mary.
Andy Weir
was it
one?
Hail Mary? Yeah. So I said, well, I'm going to read I'm going to read the book first. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I did, because there were some things that I couldn't, it was explained after the fact, but it was a lot easier to understand that what was being said behind, or what was happening behind the scenes that I couldn't show.
Yeah. And The Martian was the same way. I read the book,
yes.
The Martian first, and then saw the movie. And then, and again, it's a director's vision, so he changes things and has to fit within the timeline. It was still entertaining, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
The character was more or less, and they did well, and all that. But yes, Project Hail Mary was what you're talking about. And Andy Weir, wish we were related. We're not. So.
I know, that's when I saw your last name. I was
a couple times and no, different families. So.
I was thinking about that too when I saw that. I was like, wait a minute, it's not the same last name, different genre. But so yeah. I take it that you read a lot in the genre that you write. Mm-hmm. Is that important, or should a person branch out into other genres as well?
if you're only going to write in the crime drama, that crime thriller area, I think, yeah, you can stay in that. If you want to obviously you want to write other things, definitely. But I mean, I've read some science fiction through the years and a few other things, and I think it's good to see different types of writing. Fantasy, and I mentioned this before on my show, fantasy authors and sci-fi authors, I'm just so impressed with coming up with those entire worlds, races, and trying to keep it unique because there's so many out there and stuff. And I think it's pretty incredible what they come up with. And I say, I just don't have quite that deep of imagination. Maybe it's I don't have that much time to sit down and think through all that too, because I think a lot of times, and I ask about that too, pantser or plotter, and it's like, I would think you would need to have some type of flow chart or something to keep track of all of that, especially the different worlds and the races and everything else.
And see, I'm the opposite because I write fantasy, but I feel like if I went to try to write a mystery, and I would have to, it would be very difficult for me. I'd almost have to work backwards to find out the bad guy and then try to piece in the little pieces. I don't know if I could do it pantser wise. Yeah. If there's a lot of action and stuff, I'm like all for it, but it's the getting down to the details of it. Even those the little follow the maze with your pencil and stuff. For some reason, I can't do it from end, start to end. I have to go from end to start on those two. It's just weird. But yeah, I admire mystery writers for the same reason.
Well, and sometimes I say my characters help me too, and sometimes be amazed. You'll just start typing. For me, I just start typing away, and I just go there, and I'm very much a streak writer. I might start out slow, may take me a few months to get the first few chapters, and like this latest book, I blew through the last half of the book. It was just there in my head, and it's like, I'm going to write the rest of this book, and it was one of the fastest books I've ever written. It's 135,000 words too, so. Now we're doing the editing process, which is more of a
that's painful, eh?
more of a grind and stuff, but we're getting there. I'm down to the end of this after I got the first round of edits from her, and I'm down to the end to send back to her for one more round from her. And I was reading some of the chapters, and honestly, and it's interesting when you read your own work. Sometimes there were some chapters that were moving me that I had written there. I'm like, I had no idea until I started reading it, and I was almost tearing up sometimes with some of the stuff that I was writing, which is real unusual for me. I'm not a teary-eyed guy, so I'm hoping it's coming through. It will come through and do that to the other people who are reading it as well.
So I find, sorry, Glenn.
No, I was just saying it was interesting.
I was going to say that it sounds like you're of the same mindset. I think that the beginning parts of books, the first, I'd say 10 to 15 chapters are the most difficult to write. In my mind, I think it's because that's where you have to set up everything. You have to introduce your character, introduce the setting, the scene, what the danger is. But once you get all that done, it's kind of like, okay, now it's just adventure.
Well, and I think, and for some people too, you can lose them in those first few chapters too. So you got to make sure, thrillers, pretty much it's wall-to-wall action. Private eye, mystery crime, where you have a case and everything, there's a little more of a process involved in doing that. And some people don't want to read that type of book because, your private eye isn't going to just have it figured out in the first few chapters. There's a process. As a detective, you're going out there, hitting the streets a little bit and working for clues and trying to gather information and all that. And there's a lot of that in those first few chapters. And then you kind of get to, okay, you're putting it all together, and then the action really starts to grind and the bad guys start to come to play and all that. Thrillers, usually you start right out, bang, 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 and then the whole book. You might have a little pause here and there, and then you get going again, and then you finish. So those are definitely different types of books. So yeah, they're fun. They're fun to write. tough to start sometimes, but once they're done and you feel you've accomplished anything. And I've won a few awards. So, and and Justice for the Forgotten, I just found out I'd won 2 awards. I'm going to be up for the Silver Falchion Award for Best Private Investigator. So I get to go to Nashville in August and see if maybe and that's an award I've won a couple times for the Divine Devil series as well. So
if you have a person who's maybe not necessarily big into mystery, but they like action adventure, which book would you recommend? Which of your books?
If I would say the Divine Devil's thriller series is the one that's really wall to wall. Now I do the 3rd book in that series does deal with human trafficking. So that's can be a trigger for some people if they've, had any experience in that. I hate to use the word experience, but if someone's been trafficked or whatever, but that's the most intense book. A lot of action, a lot of thrills and some chases and things like that. The Private Eye series is more your traditional private eye, gumshoe on the street solving cases. So obviously the serial killer book is much more intense, and actually I have 2 serial killer books because the serial killer comes up later in the series. But those would be more I would say the Divine Devils if people like action. I mean, it's not a true action adventure type of series, and that'd be something one day maybe I'd love to write. I was always a little Clive Cussler type of thing or something like that.
So it's more on the thriller side with your Divine Devils series.
Right. Divine Devil series is the thriller one. And then the Private Eye series is, your gumshoe private eye classic. And then Steel Wheels, he's an investigator. And but there's a little bit of an emotional aspect to it because of his wife passing away and people contact him about cold cases that he try, and he's traveling in an RV and he's got his Belgian Malinois canine companion. That's the person that's keeping him company, and he's dealing with all those emotions while still trying to get out there and solve some cold cases, which are always interesting because there are so many. I couldn't believe when I started research how many cold cases there are every year in this country. It's amazing that have gone, and they're just continue to pile up, and lots of material there.
Yes.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
One
of the questions we always ask our guests, and I primed you up for it in the email, have you ever seen Bigfoot, had a paranormal experience or anything?
So that's a good question. I have not had what I would call a paranormal experience. I've had dreams where my mother, who's passed on, has been in the dreams talking to me sometimes and things like that. It was interesting. I was talking to my daughter. She's 26 now, and I asked her because she watches some of the YouTube shows about paranormal stuff, so she's kind of into that. I asked her, have you had any paranormal? I know you've mentioned you've had some things. She goes, yeah, you guys were gone one night and we're hearing steps upstairs and the dogs were reacting to it and everything else. And every now and then the dogs will react to something and you're like, you don't hear anything. I'll say, so what are they seeing and all that? So, but personally, no, nothing really for me, but I sometimes wonder, especially in my dreams. I've even had dreams with passed on celebrities show up in my dreams sometimes, which I have no idea where that came from.
Channeling, maybe. So do you believe in that stuff? Paranormal stuff?
When I was younger, no. As I've gotten older and closer to I kind of wonder about stuff like that. You think about, the afterlife. Well, what happens when I pass away? Do I just, everything in my brain just disappears and I don't remember anything? Am I going to go on? Am I going to be reincarnated? So, some of those things come. I mean, maybe I'll come back and haunt somebody. Who knows?
Maybe that's what your characters are. You were talking about sometimes you feel like they're in your presence.
Well, and that's true. I mean, they could be. it does seem to be a little paranormal sometimes when those characters are in the room with me, especially when they're tapping you on the shoulder and they go, I want a bigger part. You didn't write me properly. No, I don't want to be that way. I want to be this way, you know. So
I would never go over there. Why want to go over here?
yeah. And fortunately, I don't think my wife when she's working next door has heard me talking to them, going, "Would you leave me alone? Would you leave me alone?" She might have me committed otherwise.
That's funny. Well, you know, one of the topics now is aliens. You know, we were talking about fantasy and building worlds and stuff. And they keep saying we're gonna have this great disclosure. We're gonna have, I mean, I don't know if we ever will here in the state or in the world. What do you think about any of that with the alien stuff?
Well, I'd be surprised if we were alone. I mean, it would not shock me that there are aliens out there. I mean, obviously, I'm one of those people that has to see it for my own eyes, type of thing. But it wouldn't surprise me the least bit that we're not alone in this world. Now, where the heck they all are, they're not in this solar system, I don't think, because I don't think anything can live on most of the other planets, at least not beings like us. There might be, you know, germs and things like that, but in another galaxy somewhere, you know, I mean, they send off these probes all the time, so it would be fun to meet somebody, and hopefully they're friendly and not nasty like they are in a lot of the movies. I would rather meet E.T. than.
Well, that's the problem, especially with America. Right? Nope, we're going to blow them up.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Yeah, that's the first aspect of it as well. So, you know, Close Encounter. You know, Spielberg. You know, he's done a couple of alien movies, and usually it's more of a positive experience. You know, Close Encounters or E.T. But of course, he's had some that were not necessarily close encounters. I think we need to worry more about the people on this planet than somebody out there, honestly.
Or who becomes the ambassador to them, the first person that they meet. There's some people I don't think I wouldn't recommend them meeting first.
I was reading some of the comments on one of the articles in a news article, and it hit me funny. They were talking about the mayor of New York City, and they're like, why don't you stop worrying about all that other stuff and fix our potholes? Because
to lose people in them. Yes.
Yeah, stop worrying about this other stuff. Fix the potholes.
Yeah, we want whatever affects us to be fixed, right? If it's not affecting us, maybe we don't care so much. So yeah, we all kind of get kind of a narrow focused view on something, and not worrying about everybody else. But
have you ever thought about putting any paranormal stuff in any of your books?
In Justice for the Forgotten, his dead wife does talk to him a little bit.
Huh.
In one of the scenes in there, he'd gotten the crap beat out of him, and he was a little beat up and delusional, but he felt like she was there telling him to get up and get going and get moving. So you could say that's paranormal. It could have been just part of his delusion from being injured, but there's a little hint of that as well. So I wouldn't call it a paranormal book by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a little snippets there of his wife encouraging him to move on, to get back up off the ground and keep fighting.
Put your bootstraps up. Yeah. And that's what it sounds like your characters all do. Put up the boots, pull on the boots, let's go to work. So
yeah, I mean they're tough people. They get knocked down, get back up. I know my private eye, sometimes he's cracking jokes while he's getting his butt kicked. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's kind of my sense of humor. But I've always liked that, and I mentioned this several times to other people through the years, but I think back on the old TV series MASH, where Hawkeye in the most horrible situations is making jokes. Yep. That's how he was dealing with it, and that's kind of the way my private eye is. he's dealing with those situations. In his case, he's using jokes sometimes to throw the person off a little bit too, and go, huh? What the heck are you talking about here? He's trying to throw them out of kilter a little bit by cracking jokes when you would never think someone would crack jokes. And then
go do the ride along with the paramedics. You'll see. You'll come out of there going, these guys are all twisted. So
yeah. I was gonna say, like anything in the hospitals, we're cracking jokes too.
Yeah, sometimes that's we're the old TV show Scrubs, and some of those they use a lot of humor in there to get through, and then of course they have the very serious moments where they're frustrated, angry, and somebody passes away and stuff like that. So I mean, humor is used a lot. I know some people say, well, that's not a place where you should use humor, but I don't know that there's too many places where humor to me would be inappropriate. I mean, there probably would be a little bit, but it's the way to cope a lot of times. And that's what I like to write, at least in the Private Eye series. And he's got his butt kicked many a time. So, and shot and a few other things too. So you have to
your protagonist and my protagonist would get along just fine.
We like to torture them, that's part of the fun. I was at Tucson, and CJ Box, who writes the Joe Pickett series. If you know CJ Box, he's a crime writer and Joe Pickett series. And I asked him that question I said, what is it? You just love to torture poor Joe Pickett in your books. I mean, he's got him shot and knocked down and everything. He goes, well, what fun would it be if I didn't torture him, right? And he said the funnest thing I enjoy torturing him with is his mother-in-law. That's the one I love torturing him with the most. So.
Apropos.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would put an angry mother-in-law in any of my books. Now that I think about it, they have the wrath of God some days. No offense, Jen. No offense. She'll be one day. So,
well, and I didn't ask him. I said, I hope it's not based on your mother-in-law. She might come gunning for you.
With the dog, did you go out and get any experience with the dogs? Because those dogs are phenomenal. They can do superhero type things.
So I have an author friend of mine, Kathleen Donnelly, who actually trains canines, various canines. And then when I was in the Citizen Police Academy, we got to see and I use a Belgian Malinois. That's what Westminster Police Department uses, a Belgian Malinois. And those are incredible dogs. They're like $10,000 to $40,000. They go to Belgium to get them because they're not as inbred over there as in the United States. But I saw them in action, and it's just incredible. And they use Dutch commands, which I use in the book as well. I had to learn the Dutch commands, so I did a lot of research on that as well. And they're amazing. And of course, we have dogs of our own. They're not Belgian Malinois. I've had labs, and we have a pit bull. So, you kind of get an idea of the emotions of the dogs, and every dog is different. But those dogs are just, and I wrote this in the book, and my editor said, well, you can't say the Energizer Bunny because it's a trademark name. But that's what I talked about. I just said the bunny on TV. But they are so high energy dogs, the Belgian Malinois, and you got to walk them constantly. And when they crash, they crash. They just boom and sleep. But when they're ready to go, they're up and their motor's going 100 miles a minute. And pretty amazing animals. And I have some scenes, especially in the new book, where we see a little bit through the dog's eyes as well. And yeah, he's amazing. But Kathleen trains them, and she told me once, she goes, and she uses all types of dogs for canines. For training, because the military use them, but not just Belgian Malinois. And she says, a lot of times I'm looking for a dog in a shelter, and I'm looking for the one that's the problem child, the one that's got that frisky behavior and getting in trouble and all that. And she says they make the best dogs for canine stuff. And then I also talk in the new book too about the Canine Warriors program, which is in the United States for veterans. And they rescue dogs that then they give to veterans with PTSD. Mm-hmm. And those dogs become companions, and those dogs will sense when the PTSD is hitting those veterans. And it's amazing what it does for those veterans. Veterans a lot of times can get off the drugs. They don't need the medicines anymore. Their suicide thoughts go way down. Those dogs become unbelievable companions for them. And to me, it's amazing the programs they do. And I highlight that in this book and that program. And there are some other ones out there, but that one is, they have a place in Texas and Florida for veterans. And I'm like, I just amazed. I see these service dogs that are trained to sense when someone's, like if they have a health issue and they are say having a seizure, they can sense when that seizure is about to hit in advance and will nudge the person to tell them you need to lay down so you don't fall and hurt yourself. Yep.
It's a good thing they can't talk, because I bet they know a lot of secrets that we would like nobody else to know.
They've seen me naked. No.
They don't talk. You mean it's not like in the movie Up where you can put a digital thing on their throat and it'll translate what they're thinking? Squirrels.
That would be cool. It would be. Well, one of the things you were talking about as a firefighter, they had all of us after a fire wipe off with a towel, and we were to put that towel in a sterile thing, and we sent it off to somewhere. They were training their dogs to detect cancer, and we were the guinea pigs. And then after we went through this training period, after a while, they were like, okay, second day off duty after you've showered, do the same thing, and we're going to send it in. And if we call you to headquarters, you might want to bring your wife. But it's true. It's actually a true story. Yeah. They were training the dogs on how to detect that. So you're right. And I've worked with the search and rescue dogs at the fire department, and those canines, they can go straight up a wall. They could,
yeah. I've seen some of the, just you Google it, in YouTube, all the amazing things that they can do. I've heard that they can they'll work themselves to death. They've just got so much that drive.
Yeah, you got to calm them down, or it'll be too much for them. Yes, it worries about. And their lifespan is a little short. Especially, they talked about that at the thing. It's if they get 3 or 4 years out of them, they're pretty good, because they get so beat up on the job. And they'll retire them and let them have a little bit of a life. And sometimes when they retire them, they'll let the trainer to take them as a pet for home. And I think once they're finally done, they're just like, okay, I'm just going to be a regular dog now, just like us when we retire, right?
Yep, that's right. Randy, before we let you get out of here, we are live in Australia. You want to make sure that you tell everybody where they can find you, if they want to get in touch with you, how they can purchase your books, etc. So, and of course, our audience here in the States as well. Sure.
So I've got a website. It's Weir, so RWEIR, author.com. Has all the information about my books. I have a newsletter that I put out. If people sign up for my newsletter through the website, they get offer for 2 free ebooks in the Private Eyes series. I have a store there where they can buy paperbacks. I have merchandise as well. Not a lot yet, but we got a few things. We even Kogel, who is the Belgian Malinois canine in the series. We have a stuffed animal, which I should have brought him up tonight with me. Stuffed animal dog that we sell, that my wife and daughter put together and make. Kogel is Dutch for bullet, by the way. And then all my books are available through Amazon. They're also part of the Kindle Unlimited, if you like Kindle Unlimited and ebooks and stuff. I also always ask everybody, if you're going to do Kindle Unlimited and read my book, go through every page, because they
right
pay you by the page. So
yes.
Yep. And it's not much per page, but that's why it's like, get through all the pages and stuff. But I love hearing from people. There's a contact form, though. I get a lot of junk through the contact form. Anyone who's got a website these days keeps getting all these fake emails. Thanks to AI. We'll get back to AI again. And And but I love hearing from people in there. But the newsletter is always the best place, and I put one out usually about every month, and what events I'm doing, where I'll be. And I do a lot of craft fairs. I do go to author events around the country. We've been traveling a lot the last few months, and I've got a few more trips, and we'll be going to the Killer Nashville event in August for the awards.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you get out of here, but I want you to come back when you've written your next book or about to publish, either way.
Sure.
I'd love to know more about it. So,
yeah, well, that one will be out hopefully in a few months. So, and it'll be called Justice for the Accused. So we're in the editing process now. Got the cover pretty well made, so we're getting down to ready to go, and then we'll be on to the next Jarvis Mann book, which I've already written the first few chapters for. So
nice.
Never sleep. All right. Well, Randy, have a great night. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you having me on, JM. Great seeing you again.
Yeah,
Take
likewise.
care.
Oh, hold on a minute. I gotta push the right button. So
we're all just like awkwardly staring.
Yeah, I gotta push the right button. Good Lord, technical difficulty. That was my fault. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. It was a great hour. I know we're running a few minutes behind in our second guest, Jennifer. Well, let me actually, to stay legal in Australia, I have to push a button here because they just messaged me. So hold on, let me push a button to make sure we're not breaking any laws in Australia. Thank you for tuning in. Check out hour 2. We'll be right here.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
That's all right. Everybody, welcome back. Hour 2 of the Sportcat Show, formerly known as the Paranormal Guys. As always, we have 2 guests, and our second guest, well, we could call her, where'd y'all go? We could call her the utility knife of entertainment. She acts, she dances, she sings, she's written books. Jennifer Lieberman, let's bring her out here so she can tell us a little bit about herself. Hey there, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
I'm sorry about the technical difficulties when we started. It's the Gremlins.
It happens. Technology. You know, I just got the spinning circle. You know, it said joining, and the circle just kept spinning and spinning. And after a couple minutes, I was like, maybe I should contact somebody.
That's the same thing Randy did. Yeah.
It's like a love-hate relationship we all have with that technology, eh?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And before we get into it, just I saw the movie Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die last night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard of it. It's with Sam Rockwell. And basically he comes back from the future into a diner, and he's trying to collect people to try and help him save the world, because he comes from like a futuristic, apocalyptic kind of state of the universe. And it's because of technology.
Of course.
Of course. And then like the news came out today that one of those like AI systems went rogue and started hacking into a company.
Yeah, it got out. Where did it go? That's what I want to know. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Like how do you capture it again? Like how do you arrest AI?
Well, it's the people who I guess built it or are in control of it, who own it, right? Because somebody's owning and programming these different systems. Yeah, I don't know. And that's what's so scary, because it, you know, there are parameters and safeties in place, but it went rogue.
So
Rogue machine. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah, who knew it would ever do that? Next is going to start saying, this world population, we can solve that real quick. So,
real quick. Exactly. Yes.
So you have been in plays, you've been on television, the big screen, you've written multiple books. What is there anything you haven't done?
Well, I have not been to the moon, but I aspire to get there one day. No, actually, not exactly. But yeah, I guess in a nutshell, I'm an actor who started writing and producing because I was tired of waiting to get picked. So I became a writer, I became a producer, I started in theater. But even though I started in theater, I always had aspirations of film and television. There's not really one box. Like, they are different. Each medium kind of has its own, specializes in different things, but it's all performance art at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Which do you enjoy more? I'm sorry, Jen.
That's okay. That was what I was going to ask.
There's nothing like live theater because you're in front of the audience. And the way I kind of describe it is, when you do theater, there's an energy exchange. So even though you're on stage, it's usually a late night. You usually don't get out of the theater till like 11:30, if the show's not done until 10, and then you got to break down and, get costumes and makeup and get everything reset for the next day. But you're wired. You're like wired and you're fired up, and you can't go to bed. You go out and eat dinner at midnight, and then you're, get home at 2 a.m. and then you still need to unwind a little bit, because that energy exchange, there's like a feedback loop with the audience, and it really fires you up. So it's a totally different beast than working on set, whether it's for a film or streaming or, does TV even exist anymore? I don't even know what to call it, but let's just say in front of the camera versus on stage. In front of the camera, there's no feedback loop. And it's, they're long days. They're not, for the actors, they're not necessarily really hard days. The hardest part, unless you're doing like a challenging stunt scene or really like deep emotional scene, the hardest thing is the hurry up and wait. Because it's like, you have to be ready, but they might not be ready for you for 2 hours or 3 hours, or they have to adjust the lights, or, they have to, or you do the scene and then they have to change all the lighting and cameras to get the other side, So, yeah.
Do you survive on like a lot of coffee?
Yeah, it's a lot of coffee. And that's the other thing too. There's a lot of snacks, but the more snacks you eat, the more your energy wanes.
Yes.
And you're not getting, like, yes, you're feeding off of the other actor, but you're not getting that feedback loop from the audience. You're kind of giving it all and nothing's coming back to you.
It's like rehearsing in front of a mirror. You don't get that living.
Yeah, exactly. And, and yes, a lot of times the crew is going to be supportive, and, they're going to let you know you're doing a great job. And if you do a really difficult emotional scene or really funny, you will, but that's the thing. There can't be any reaction during, because, the microphones will pick it all up. So it doesn't matter how funny you are. Nobody can laugh. You know what I mean?
Do you have people in the back like silently cheering?
Well, all of that's distracting, right? Because you have a very specific eye line, and like, especially as actors, we're like really good at locking in and blocking out everything else that's going on. We get into like our tunnel vision zone, and we just kind of block out everything else. So yeah, so they're totally different, and they're both enjoyable, because anytime I get to create and I get to play and perform is awesome. But because of the feedback loop with live theater, there's something just really magical about it. That's, aside from just being able to do the performance. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's why you see so many people enjoy Saturday Night Live, or enjoy being on Saturday Night Live. They've practiced all week, they've got down, and then it's hurry for the live TV show. So yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times you see them break character because they make each other laugh so hard, and you'll see them like holding it in, trying not to laugh. So, but yeah, Saturday Night Live would be like a bucket list to ever get to do something on that show. That would be out of this world. I'm a huge fan of that show.
I think the only time I ever was in front of an audience was when I was doing karate tournaments when I was younger. And I know what you mean by the whole tunnel vision, because if you don't have tunnel vision, you're going to get punched in the face, unfortunately. But you forget everything that's around you and you're just focused on what you're going to do. But yeah, that energy, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I started off as a competitive gymnast. Same thing. You don't have the tunnel vision, you're going to break your neck.
Exactly. Yeah.
So so it was a kind of good prep for being able to block out everything and just kind of focus on what's at hand. Yeah.
Yeah, as a paramedic firefighter, that's a bad thing for us to get it, but we often get that inside of a burning building because we're like, okay, we know what we got to go do, but we're not aware that the floor is burning under us or above us. So we're just, but now when we come out, we're jacked. We are like, even though we've been exerting ourselves, but we're like, it's all that adrenaline. So.
Well, exactly. It's the adrenaline. It just, it's like surging through you. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what it feels like. But yeah, so I love stage, but like I said, I love all different types of performance, and I've grown into a writer and a producer as well, even though acting is my favorite. Performance is my favorite. If I got to pick and I was only able to do just one, that's the one I would choose. And I started the writing and producing to facilitate giving myself more acting work. But now I really love writing and I love creating stories. And I adapted one of my plays into a book. And so now I'm an author as well. And I've written some how-to books about the creative process. And I enjoy producing as well. And I produce productions that I'm not acting in and that I didn't write. So I kind of can assume each role individually, like as a standalone. And then a lot of times for my own projects, I'll wear all the hats to get my own stuff off the ground and made. Yeah.
Do you think you would continue writing now that you've got the writing bug? Would you continue writing if nobody ever read your stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is definitely yes. Like I started writing as a child, and it was kind of like a full circle moment when I wrote my one-woman show, because the childhood dream was to write and act in my own movies. I started writing because I wanted to be on TV. And I was about 8 years old, and I would write like fan fiction scripts for the TV shows that I liked, where I was like the guest character. And that's kind of how my fantasy of being on TV like played out as a young person. And then was writing poetry and short stories. And then my first real script, even though I was kind of writing scripts and dabbling around as a kid, I wrote my first real script my last year of university. And I've written several feature film scripts at this point, and now I have one that I'm spearheading in development to make it. But it's funny because, when you write your first one, you think it's so great. And then, some years go by and you write a few more and you're like, oh yeah, it's a good thing we didn't make that one.
Practice makes perfect.
Exactly. Just like the first draft of a book, right? You're not publishing your first draft. You're writing, a couple more drafts before you get to print.
Fortunately, there are some people, though, that publish their first drafts and kind of, it's, maybe they learn as they go. But yes, there is a lot of people that do publish their first draft, unfortunately.
Yeah. Or for me, I get a lot of screenplays that people have written and they've just written it. They haven't rewritten it. They haven't really gotten professional feedback. And, they're like, I really want to make this. And it's like, okay, but there are so many steps involved.
Yes. Yeah.
And, theater production and film production are different because they're different mediums, but script development is kind of the same. There's different formatting and different formulas for theater versus film, but the steps of, writing it, getting some feedback, rewriting it, doing a reading. This is something we don't do with books, but we do with screenplays and theatrical plays. We do readings where we get actors to actually read the parts. And a lot of times it will start off like as a table read in your apartment or your home, and you can invite some friends over and order a pizza, and you don't have to have real actors. A lot of times it's better not to have real actors, because then you can actually hear if the writing's good.
Yes.
Because, if you've got great actors, they can make not so good writing sound great. But
I had never thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been involved in a couple of readings where the pieces did need work, but the actors did such a good job that the writer's like, what are you talking about? It was great. And it's like, well, because the actors were great. So yeah, and that's a way, because also it's all of these things are going to be performed. So you have to hear how they sound. And a lot of times when you're reading something with your eyes, it sounds different than hearing it with your ears. So yeah, there's definitely a process. And then a lot of times there's staged readings, and that's where you invite investors and people you want to collaborate with. And that's how you get them interested and kind of create a buzz and get momentum for the project to move forward. So it's very different. The development is very different theatrically than in the literary world, for sure.
What's your most recent project?
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh, she's like, I got 3. Hold on.
More than that. Okay, so my most recent book came out in May, and it's called Independent Theater Production for the 21st Century in 7 Simple Steps. So I realized when I started creating my own stuff that it really alleviated frustration. Not only did I get to create and put my work out into the world, I realized I could help my friends do the same thing. Because when you're a creative and your whole career depends on somebody else choosing you, it is a very frustrating, powerless place to sit. So that's when I realized, like, I can help other people do this. So I've been consulting. I have a company called Make Your Own Break, and I've been consulting, and I teach some production workshops. And most recently, I was teaching at Toronto Metropolitan University, and I was Googling for some resources to bring into my students. And there hasn't been a book on theater production, specifically producing theater, published since 1990. So I adapted my course into a book. So that's my most recent thing that I've put out into the world. And then I am juggling a few other projects. So I have a feature film called Longing, which is a very tumultuous, dramatic romance. And I'm in the development stage, putting a team together and raising money to shoot that feature film. And it'll be my first feature. So it's very exciting, but it's also a little daunting because all of the projects I've done in the past, I've just basically done on a shoestring budget, called in favors, did not expect to monetize, and use those projects as calling cards and ways to showcase my work. And that's kind of the point of a short film, right? You don't expect to make a lot of money on a short film unless it's a proof of concept for a much bigger project. So it didn't really warrant spending a lot of money. So this is the first time I'm raising real money and definitely have to be able to create revenue from the project. So I'm taking my time with it, and I'm, you know, working towards getting the right ducks in a row, so to speak. And then I'm also attached as a producer to a couple of plays. One is an off-Broadway show that a colleague of mine wrote. And once again, you know, we're raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for this project. So we're taking our time, making sure that everything's done properly, because even raising that money, you don't want to, even if you can raise the money, you don't want to lose the money. And you have to be very strategic about timing and casting and marketing and all of these things that make a successful product or production, right? Because the production is a product at the end of the day that we are selling. It's an experiential product, but it's still a product. And then I also have part 2 of my novel series that's coming out next year. It's called Year of the Bitch.
Ooh.
Okay.
I like it.
I like that. Yeah. Are you ever afraid to put yourself out there, or do you have that fear of some? I mean, I don't want to say not judgmental, but people are judgmental.
Yeah, it is. But I think part of being a creative person is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, anytime we leave the house, people are going to judge us, whether they're, you know, like whether you're just at the grocery store or you're at the bank or doing your job. People are going to judge you no matter what. If you put it on the internet, they are going to comment and you will know the judgments they are passing about you. But whether or not people are, you know, making them available for you to be aware of, that judgment is always going to be there. And I think getting comfortable with the uncomfortability of it is key. And I've kind of mastered that as a performer. You go on auditions, you do so many auditions that it's just crickets. You know, it's a world of rejection. And, you know, so that I'm comfortable with. The thing I've been challenging myself with and struggling with a little bit is building an online presence and really leaning into social media. See, I have no problem coming onto a podcast and talking with lovely people like you and answering questions and talking about my journey or what I'm working on. Oh, yes, you are so lovely. I have no problem doing that. But my own Instagram or my own, you know, kind of social media account, I find it really hard. I don't know why. I have like an ick factor about it. You know, and so yeah, like it's really uncomfortable, and I've been pushing myself, and I've been posting consistently, like 2 to 3 times a week for the past 2-3 months. And I'm committed to doing it. And, you know, it's baby steps. Like if I said, oh, I'm going to post every day, it's like a crash diet. It would, you know, it lasted like a day and then I would have quit. So yeah, what do you guys feel about like the social media and posting and stuff?
Well, I know that I had an author who asked me about why they were having a hard time getting followers. And I do know that when I went looking at their profile, the one thing I did notice was there were maybe, you know, less than like a couple dozen posts, and most of them were about their book. And I mean, I think when people see us on social media, they are there because they found whatever it is that we produced, but now they want to know about us. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so, and that's scary. That makes us feel vulnerable. So it is terrifying. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not a social media expert by any means.
You hit the nail on the head for me. Sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm not an expert either. This week, I do a daytime show where we do news, but we don't really do news. We make fun of it. And me and my co-host, and we laugh about it and just make stupid jokes and stuff. But I have been serious on one topic close to my heart. And it's in a little small town in a rural county. And I had the reporter she messaged me on Facebook and told me to get out of her county. I didn't have any business there. And I thought about that for a bit, and I was like, I have people tell you you're not funny, you're not this, and I don't care, but that offended me. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to put my persona on. And so I got behind the keyboard and I said, you know what? You might be right, but whereas you work for a little raggedy ass newspaper, I have 2 successful shows. I'm listened to internationally, local, and nationally. So why don't you keep your nose to yourself? And I felt so much better after I sent that. But you have to get used to it, because you're going to get people who say, well, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're fat, you're whatever.
Yeah. And I know in show business, they say like any press is good press. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, what they're saying about you, as long as they're talking about you, just keep them talking. Right. I'm sure Kim Kardashian has as much positive press as she has negative press, but she didn't let it stop her. Look at her, taking home that bag of money, so, but what resonated with me was they found something about my work that they liked, and now they want to get to know me. Mm-hmm. And that's a thing. Like, I'm comfortable posting about the industry. I'm comfortable posting advice. I'm comfortable talking about my journey. But yeah, like my personal life, at some point, especially as a performer, when you kind of like bleed your soul onto the stage, or as a writer, you bleed your soul onto the page. It's like you want to keep something for you, mm-hmm. and for the people who are actually in your life. So finding that balance has been, I guess, a challenge, because people have said to me in the past, like, show your smoothies, show your yoga, show your, and I'm like, that's my sacred space. Like, like when I'm doing yoga, or, when I'm doing some of my like, woo-woo stuff, like that's not the stuff that we want to put.
Well, and it's one thing for somebody to judge something, that you're making, because you expect that, but you don't want people to judge, I don't know, like what you're buying from the grocery store, there's got to be some separation there, but people want to know where that creativity comes from. And so they want to know you. And that's hard. I think that's, especially when there's, this day and age where people can take your identity, and, they have keyboard warriors who can say all sorts of naughty and nasty things about you, from the safety of their screens, so it's very scary.
Yeah. And they can stay anonymous, right? Half these accounts that people are like posting from, they're not even posting as their own identity. So yeah, that's a little challenging, but that's been the big thing for me, that, I'm really forcing myself to get comfortable with the uncomfortableness of it all.
It's funny you say that. At the fire station one time, when this one guy was bored, he was always on his phone. I'm like, what are you doing, playing games? He's like, no, I'm arguing. I'm like, who the hell are you arguing with? He goes, oh no, it's fun. You go somewhere and you say something and you start an argument, and then you come back and you argue with yourself. And I'm like, that works for you? He's like, oh yeah, it's great. It gets people all riled up. He's 2 different anonymous personalities arguing. I'm like,
Sounds like a lot of energy that can be put towards something more productive.
Some people just thrive on drama.
Yeah.
He's from where?
Yes, and he's a fireman. He doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah. No, I know. And he has to be able to drop what he's doing at a moment's notice. So I guess, yeah, it's funny. But I've watched some videos about people giving advice about how to build your following on social media. And they were saying, like, the more unhinged you are, the more people want to watch you. But it's like,
but then people aren't watching you. They're watching a version of you that you think people want to watch.
But then do they want to really hire me to like work on their production if I'm going to be
that
the
too.
one bringing all the drama? Like, you know, one of the pieces of advice I always give people when I consult with them is like, it's better to take somebody who's a little less talented who's going to bring less drama to the production. You know, like when you're looking at, you know, whether it's casting or whoever you're working with, you want the path of least resistance, you know, and you bring on a couple of drama queens, and all it takes is one person to get unhinged and the whole bottom falls out from under you. You know,
because I was just gonna say, because you have to work with these people for like weeks to months, right?
Yeah, and the budgets are tight and the schedules are tight. You know, even if you have $100 million to make a movie, that movie probably needs 120 million. You know what I mean? To do it in a leisurely way, right? Like, just because you have $100 million to make a movie doesn't mean everybody's skipping at the park and having picnics, you know, at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's like busting their ass to make sure that you don't go over that 100 million and that you get it done on the schedule that it was meant to get done for, or else you lose the production. And what I mean by losing the production is, okay, this is some like knowledge that I learned because I did a certificate in film and TV production and at UCLA, and I learned so much. There's something called a completion bond. And in order for all of your financing to be guaranteed and for the banks to guarantee loans against contracts and certain, because, for example, say, you know, Netflix puts up X amount of money for my film, you know, they're not going to give me the money until the film is finished and I deliver it to them, but it's a legally binding contract. So I can take that contract to the bank and borrow a percentage of that contract. So, you know, Netflix is pretty reputable. I could probably borrow 85% of what that, you know, 100% contract is for. But the only way the bank will guarantee that money is if I get something called a completion bond. And basically it's a special type of insurance that every single day of the production, the line producer who's in charge of the bottom line of the budget has to report back to them and make sure and let them know if you are on budget and on schedule. And if you go too many days over budget or behind schedule, this company will take over the production and the director and the producers will lose control of it. And this insurance company will take it over. And they don't really care about the quality of the work. They don't care about your artistry. They don't care about your vision. All they care about is getting it done on time and on budget.
God, you sound like used car salesman.
Pardon?
I also had used car salesman, you said?
You sound like used car salesman. That last people that come in.
Yeah. I also had a thought, and I don't know how much truth there is to this, or, you know, it's just kind of like a random thought that if you hired if you cast somebody and they're like your main character and they turn out to be a jerk or a drama queen, it's not like you can fire them halfway through the movie.
Well, no, because then you need to reshoot everything that you shot with them. Yeah. Right. And actually, fun fact, like Back to the Future was originally shot with Eric Stoltz. And they shot the first 2 weeks of that movie with Eric Stoltz, and he wasn't working. He wasn't working as Marty McFly. Like, they just, you know, they're just like, we're trying. And also Michael J. Fox wasn't available for the beginning of the shoot. And that's why they went with Eric Stoltz, because Michael J. Fox was not available. He had a conflict because he was doing Family Ties, and he was contractually obligated to Family Ties. That was the priority. So 2 weeks into shooting with Eric, they decided he wasn't right. It was like it wasn't the vibe they were going for. So they fired him and they hired Michael J. Fox. And they trashed those first 2 weeks of film, and it was on film back in the day of Back to the Future, and they trashed it. And I'm sure they went over budget because those 2 weeks were probably not cheap. And yeah, but it was a gamble, and it turned out to be, worthwhile. And I'm sure they made up those 2 weeks and more. Because that was in the 80s, and children today are still enjoying the Back to the Future franchise. That's true. It's one of those like amazing, stood the test of time kind of generational movies. So that does happen. And then there's another thing that happens is like a pay or play contract, which a lot of times, in order to raise the money you need to have a name actor signed to your movie. So you'll get like a letter of intent, right? Like you don't have the full budget yet, but you might have a little bit of money to pay them a percentage of their rate up front. And then you can get a letter of intent. And then you can take that letter of intent, because it's a legally binding contract that you have done between your lawyer and their lawyer. And the movie has to get made within a certain amount of time because they have a schedule. And if they're an in-demand actor, there's a lot of things that they need, they have more than one offer, more than one project going on a year. So there's a certain amount of time, so you're already saying this film will be shot, between this month and this month, of this particular year. And then that's a letter of intent. You take that to investors, financiers. You can take it to distribution companies or outlets like Netflix, Amazon, and say, look, this is our movie. So-and-so is interested. We have the letter of intent. And a lot of times that's like a pay or play contract. And if you don't raise the money in that window and the movie doesn't happen when you anticipated, it might happen a year later or 2 years later, or Blue Valentine fell through 9 times and it took them like 10 years to make the movie, even though they had Michelle Williams and Ryan Gosling, so these things, they happen if you're a big established filmmaker. They happen if you're an emerging, gonna be something. So it can happen at any stage of time in your career. It just has to do with like all the right pieces fitting together. It's like you're just putting together a really complicated puzzle. And yeah, so if you miss the window with that actor and you signed a pay contract, they had the letter of intent, and sometimes you have to pay them even if the movie doesn't get made, or even if you recast the role. I know somebody who got a role in a feature film. The female was already cast. The female lead was already cast, but this person was married to somebody important, and he wanted her, called in favors, got his wife into the movie, and they still had to pay the other actress that they fired the full amount.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
I read Val Kilmer, he's passed away, but I think he had already started a project, and his family is allowing them to use AI to complete the movie or whatever it was, TV show. Have you heard anything like that? Or that's just gonna be creepy.
Well, so there are things going on now where actors can go to like a motion capture studio and have their likeness, like 360, their likeness recorded, and they can license that out. Yeah. So it's coming, it's here. In the case of Val Kilmer, like yeah, he's not here to do it. And if his family gives their blessing and they're going to pay for it, then yes. I don't think the big issue with AI so much is using people's likeness, because we've used people's likeness, for decades now in the entertainment business. It's about using people's likeness and not compensating them. That's the big thing. I'm involved in a feature film that's going to be done all AI, and we're in the beginning development stages of this piece, but it really lends itself. It's not my IP. I can't talk about the story, but it really lends itself to to AI. But we're hiring real actors, we're doing motion capture, and we're using their real voices. So it's not like we're using computer generated, made from scratch people. So people, so the actors are going to get paid. They are going to get credited. But AI, there's going to be AI films. I think it's going to be like an animation adjacent kind of category.
It's going to be a whole new thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like Humphrey Bogart and John Travolta in a movie together. Wait, what?
They're going to start using AI to create likenesses of people that have been long since dead, like Albert Einstein.
They've already done that. They're already doing that. These videos are on YouTube. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. The only thing is there must be a disclaimer letting people know that this is AI generated content, right? Because in 100 years from now, people might think that that's really Albert Einstein.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they brought him back.
Gone. They might think that that's, you know what I mean? So there has to be kind of safeguards around it. Just like with AI systems, there has to be governance. But yeah, I had a problem with it when it first started emerging, and then it's like you can only fight against a tsunami for so long. Eventually it's going to overtake you. So
yeah. Well, I want to know about your novel series. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, yes. So my debut novel is called Year of the What, and it was originally my one-woman show that I created in order to give myself some acting work and invite agents and managers and try and get noticed when I was living in LA. So it was originally called Year of the Slut because I needed to grab people's attention and get them out of their houses and into the theater. And I knew that having a racy, controversial title would get some buzz and attention. So it's kind of like a Sex in the City. And it's a coming of age rom-com about these dating misadventures in New York City. And but the protagonist is 25, so she's not as old as the Sex in the City group of characters, and she's not self-assured, and she's not experienced, and she's not confident yet. So it's definitely like a fish out of water story, and it's a female empowerment piece. And I had a lot of fun performing it, and I won an award for the show in New York, and people suggested that I adapt it into a novel. They're like, this is totally Sex in the City. You should totally, make this into a chick lit book. So I did. It took me several years of writing it and giving up and rewriting it and giving up again because of all the rejection, or not even rejection, just silence, just nobody responding. And eventually I self-published it, and then the title was censored by some bots online. So I changed the title from Year of the Slut to Year of the What. And then it kind of broke through, and I won 5 literary awards, and it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon, which was super exciting. And people seemed to really enjoy the book. So I always thought to myself, it was it was a trilogy. Even before I wrote the first book, when I decided to write the book, I knew that wasn't the end of the story. And so Year of the Bitch is part 2. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking down pejoratives that are weaponized against women. So when women are younger, when we're in our teens and our 20s, if people want to attack us or put us down in some sort of way, they will call us a slut. And it has no bearing on our actions. It doesn't matter if we're promiscuous or not. If people just want to be cruel and hurtful, they will call us a slut, you know, or if we don't dress according to their standards, or, you know, if we behave in a certain way, or if we even feel confident in our sexuality, you know, it's like women are only allowed to be sexualized if it's selling a product that's not theirs. That's kind of what it feels like. You know, if you're selling a movie, or if you're selling a beauty product, or you're selling fashion, oh yeah, you can be sexualized, you know, and exploited by industry. But, you know, if you are a confident, you know, if you're a confident woman and confident about your looks and your sexuality and the way you dress, then, you know, that word will come for you. And then as we get older and more confident and more assertive and more successful, the word bitch comes for us. That's the one that's thrown our way. Because, you know, God forbid a woman knows her mind and can assert herself and can delegate and can give instructions to a team of people, can run her own company. You know, if a man acted in the exact same way, people would call him a boss. But if a woman does it, she is a bitch. So it's the same character. A few years later, she's become more confident, grown into herself, become more successful, and is dealing with a whole new set of challenges.
That is so fascinating, because right now I am watching a lady, she's older, she's retired, running for sheriff in a small rural East Tennessee county. And holy cow, she has been called everything. They've made nasty pictures of her, and they're like, you can't do the job, you're a woman. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell year is it? Did I miss something? You know, I've never not known working for with or for females. So I'm like, is this a new concept to somebody?
Yeah. I was going to say, I always think it tells me more about the person saying the word than it does about the person they're saying it to.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But unfortunately, you know, women are scrutinized way more than men, especially when we put ourselves out there, you know, especially in a position that's typically or traditionally a male role. And, you know, one thing I you know, it doesn't matter how you feel about Hillary Clinton, but what always irked me is they would always mention her looks. And it's like, she's not in a beauty contest. What do we care what she looks like? That is not why she's on stage. I don't understand.
But nobody comments about any of the other male runners up.
They were ripping Trump today because the last time he brought troops home that had been killed, he wore a baseball cap. And apparently you cannot wear a suit in a baseball cap, even in wind and rain. I didn't know there was an etiquette for headwear with the suit, but they were ripping him apart on all these news channels. And I'm like, he's got 12 hairs. He moves them all around and sprays them. You know, if the wind blows, he needs a lid. So,
he needs a lid.
Right. He needs a lid. I love that.
You know, but it's true. You know, yes, Trump is definitely scrutinized, you know, probably more than most, you know, most male politicians or most male anything is, you know, but other than him, females. We're always, it doesn't matter what we do. You're either too pretty, or you're not pretty enough, or you're not skinny enough, or you're too skinny. Oh my God. Like, it doesn't matter, which end of the spectrum you're on. It's never going to be right. It's never going to be good enough. And, and so Year of the Bitch it's also a rom-com. The character's still dating, still in the dating scene, but now has to date as a as a woman who is a little more assertive as opposed to naive. And sometimes when you're a little more assertive and successful and smart, you have a whole new challenge with dating than you did when you were younger and insecure and awkward, right? So there's new challenges at this stage of the game, but once again, it's like a fun, racy, irreverent rom-com, and I'm really excited to put it out in the world.
Spicy?
Oh, very spicy. Spice is my flavor. I am spice. I can't help it. Everything I do just has some spice in it. It's my genre.
There's a place for it, and it's very popular. So a lot of other people are very spicy. They like spice as well. Words are hard tonight.
Spicy slut.
Exactly.
Spicy
bitch, spicy slut.
I didn't finish those words. It was hard.
Well, a little bit of spice goes a long way.
As you get older, is there going to be a third or an additional book for? I mean,
yes.
It's hard.
Hey, maybe that can be the title.
Like menopause or whatever. I mean,
the third one is actually Year of the Queen.
See, that's better.
Well, yes, because it's kind of the trajectory of a female's life cycle, right? And eventually we outgrow caring about what anybody thinks, or at least that's what I've heard from the older women in my life. So
it's true. The sheriff candidate rolls off her back, doesn't say it, and me and some of the other people, we just want to choke somebody. We just want to choke somebody, because I wasn't raised that way, and so I don't understand it at all. And anyhow, sorry.
I know when I did a book signing one time, and I had somebody laugh at me because I offered them my card, and they just like, how embarrassing. They walked away. And one of the other staff members come up to me. He's like, did they just laugh at you? It's like, yeah, but I'm too old to care.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the other thing too is like, if you've done enough book events, it's like, sometimes nobody comes to your table. Sometimes nobody wants to talk to you. You're sitting all day, and you're like, okay, I guess it's just not my day today. And you just kind of feel like the loser in the corner, but
it happens. Or you come and it's really bad weather outside, or there's a playoff hockey game or something, and nobody comes into the store, and you're like, wow, this was a great weekend to do this.
Yeah. And hey, it happens at film festivals. It happens at theater productions. It happens, and I don't think I think it's actually a great opportunity for us to build character, and it really kind of reframes, and it's like, okay, is this really what I want to do? And why am I doing this? And, you kind of reevaluate, like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? You get into this whole existential, like, mind trip about it all.
Hey, if I'm out, nobody's coming to my table, and I don't have kids to ask for a million snacks. If I've got a notebook with some paper in it, I'm plotting my next book.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great place to do work. Or that's also when, like, I ask the person next to me to watch my stuff, and I go talk to other authors, and I look for other books.
Yeah.
I go make friends.
Exactly.
I go find friends.
Otherwise, it's very lonely, and we're all fellow creators, so it's always nice to, like, bounce ideas off each other, brainstorm. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I love to see what other people are working on and what they're doing.
Well, speaking of which, we've got Relic Films in the chat, and I'm not sure what dating a jar of spice was.
Oh, because we were talking about spice.
Oh,
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's going to lead me into my one question we always ask. In Relic, they make Bigfoot and ghost films. Greg's a friend of mine. Do you have or have you had any paranormal experiences in your life? Seen Bigfoot or anything?
Okay, so I've had a really weird one.
Oh.
And yeah, this one is really, really strange. So I have a cousin who actually kind of sees spirits, and I've never seen one, but I've had different moments where I've smelled people who have passed over.
I have too.
And and it's like there's nothing in the room. There's no reason for that smell to be where I am. And like one time, it was my grandfather's birthday, and we were at a nice restaurant to celebrate his birthday, and we were in a private little dining room because there were grandkids and cousins, and it was a bigger party, a few generations of us. So there was a wafting smell of a perfume, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the perfume that grandma's sister brought when I was 11 years old to this party, and she gave me this bottle. I'm like, grandma's here, or grandma's sister's here. Somebody's here, somebody's here, somebody's here. And my sister-in-law, we all went back to my parents' house afterwards, and the bottle was in my little girl room at my parents' house. And I brought that bottle down and I gave it to my sister-in-law, and I'm like, isn't this the smell we smelled? Like, because we were in a private room, like nobody else from the restaurant was coming in or out of that room, and it just overwhelmed us. So that happened. It happened with my grandfather, who passed away on Father's Day one year. We were going out for dinner. We had just picked up my grandmother, and she came into my parents' car, and all of a sudden my grandfather's cologne just filled up the car. So I don't need to go into every single encounter, but some people see dead people. I smell them.
It's not uncommon. Even here in the studio, occasionally, nobody smokes cigarettes. My neighbors are too far away on either side, and I'll start smelling cigarette smoke. I'm like, it's in here with me, and I'm like, I don't know who it is, but.
Oh, really? Okay, because you didn't have a smoker in your.
Well, my dad did. I think my granddad did.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I always joke it's my mother-in-law Pat, because she hated. So, and she smoked, but I was joking. It's Pat. I'm like, oh,
okay, well, you never know.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon. I've heard that from multiple people. So
okay, now I'm comforted, because I thought like I had never heard of it before, and I didn't Google it, because it like happens and then you forget about it, right? Like then you just kind of move on with your day. But that's so cool.
But what's funny is you remembered that exact scent, and that's one of our strongest memories is the smell of scent. You went right to where it was. You were like, I'm like a dog going to a bone. So
yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sensitive to smells as it is. So it's something that's happened several times in my life. And I actually find it very comforting, because all the smells have been like very specific loved ones, very specific moments, very specific positive vibes, I guess.
It's better than having things knocked off shelves and doors slammed.
Yeah, that's I don't know how I would handle that. I have a friend who's a medium, and she experiences things like that. And I don't know if I'd be able to deal. Like that's a little much for me.
Yeah. Like Chris says, you can always explain not really seeing or hearing what you thought, but smells cannot be misinterpreted. So yeah, he's excellent. Right. Yeah. So especially the older clones smell so much different than the newer clones. I mean, for those of us,
especially when they're really powerful too.
Yeah. Yeah, like Old Spice, Brute. I don't even know if they make those anymore for men.
Yeah,
but I mean,
was what my grandfather used to wear.
Yeah, yeah, so, yeah. I don't even know, but yeah. So, and I guess I'm going to guess on this because I don't know, but I'm going to guess that like most industries, they come and go, like fashion or something. So I would assume that they would get stale and they'd come out with Aqua Velva 2 or something. I don't know, but
or they change the ingredients, even if they do keep them around, you know, like because Chanel No. 5 has been like a staple in women's fragrances for like 100 years now. But I don't know if it's like the same ingredients that they were using 100 years ago. Like,
you smell like Liz Taylor.
When it comes to things like, because I've had this experience with my grandpa, he worked on a farm. And being around that dust and everything, he always had this smell about him, like it was on his clothes and stuff. It's kind of like when somebody's working at a sawmill and you smell that sawdust smell, right? And after he passed away, I would occasionally smell that every now and then. There's no reason to smell it. And it was specifically his smell. It wasn't a cologne. So, you know, there's that as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should take comfort in that. So, I mean, you really should. So, because I think like you picked it out and went and picked the scent right to it. So yeah, you should take comfort. So if they didn't approve of what you were doing, they'd probably be, you know, out terrorizing somebody. So take comfort in it.
Yeah, I definitely was. Each time I come across one of those, you know, smells, it is comforting to me. And I'm like, oh, hi. Thanks for coming to visit.
And then you feel crazy for talking to yourself. Yeah.
Oh no,
they must have known that you would recognize that smell as well, right? So it's like a signal to like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jen, I don't want to keep you longer than we said we were going to, and I know we got a late start. But I want everybody to know where they can find you. And like I was saying earlier, we're live in Australia right now. So we have a huge following over there. So where people can find you if they want to get in touch. If Greg from Relic Films wants you to produce this film, how can people find you and get your stuff?
Yes. So first of all, love Australia. I did a play in Wollongong. So I spent several months in Australia and traveled around. It's such a beautiful country. But yes, the best place to find me is makeyourownbreak.com. That's my website. And it has information about my new book. It also has links to my other websites because I have a website for my acting work and a website for my novel series. But I'm not going to give you too many things because it gets a little crazy. So makeyourownbreak.com, and all roads lead to Rome from that website. And then on social media, my handles on all social media is I am Jen Lieberman, my name. So the @ symbol, I am Jen Lieberman. And I am the most active on Instagram. I have not gotten on Twitter yet. I should. I will. I have to.
It's like me and TikTok. I hate it.
I know. I haven't done it yet. It's hard enough to do one thing at a time. I'm working my way. I'll get there soon.
Yes. So will you come back and visit us again? I don't think you have to wait for the Queen book to come out. I think you can just come back anytime you want. So
I would love to come back. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
It was our pleasure. Thank
you.
So yeah, keep in touch with us. I think I followed you on Facebook. I don't know. It's one of them. So
awesome.
Jen has probably already stalked you, so she'll handle it.
I followed you on both. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I'm going to repost it, I need to tag you.
Aw. Great. Well, thank you so much, and have a great night. And in Australia, have a great day because it's already Thursday in Australia.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I can't wait to come back and chat again.
All right, Jen. Great. Have a great night.
Awesome.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
She was sweet. That was great.
That was so fun.
It was. I'm glad that it all worked out. She too is having problems signing in. I don't know what.
Yeah, it must be a station, or it must be like the platform problem.
I don't, Gremlins. Gremlins. I don't know what it is.
Those pesky technical difficulties.
Yes, exactly. So for me, there will be no Thursday Sportcat Daily Gazette, but I will be back Friday with Brenda. But you will catch me tomorrow from 12 till 2. I don't know what time that is wherever you are, but that's Eastern time on the Thin Line Rock Station, www.thinlinerockstation.com. You can catch me spinning some records, telling some stupid tales, and then I will be back on Friday with Brenda at my normally scheduled time. And then next week, Jen, we'll be back together. We've got a couple more lined up. Candace McPhee and Michael Hingson, authors. So we'll have a great time with them. Where are you going to be, Jen? I know you've got 100 things going on.
Well, if you want to check out where I'm at and what I'm up to, check out my website. It's a good place to start. jmshawauthor.com. I've got links to my Facebook and Instagram and Goodreads, so you can see what other people are saying, and you can read about my books, and there's links to them online.
Cool. Yes, everybody run out and buy Jen's books. They're great. I'm starting them. I wouldn't have time to read. I'm starting it. So I promise you, I will read it. I'm like on maybe chapter 1. So I fell asleep.
I'll be done the 5th book by the time you get done.
To be fair, it was like 3 a.m. I was trying to wind down and I fell asleep. It wasn't your book. It was me. So, but yes, everybody run out and buy Jen's books. Of course, all of this will be in the show notes afterwards. Probably on Friday, it'll be added to, and then we'll be replayed over the weekend on WZQR and WRFN. And I want to thank the owners at Dare Talk Radio and Radio X in Australia. They made a special trip to the studio to flip the magic circuit breaker or whatever it was and get us back online with them. So thank you to them. They're great. So make sure to support them as well. And I guess that's about it. We'll see you guys and gals next week. So unless you got something else, Jen, you got anything else?
Nope, I'm gonna have dinner and go to bed. It's gonna be great.
There you go. Well, I still got some work to do. All right, everybody, have a great one. We will see you soon.
Wonder.